Hi, it's Rabbi Lewis wishing you an early Shabbat Shalom. And this week's Torah portion is PARASHAT Korach, and I think I can sum it up with a basic aphorism. It might sound somewhat familiar. It is this: I before we, except after the sea. Let me explain. All right, so the Israelites in Egypt, before they crossed the sea, weren't really officially in the covenant yet, because the covenant's going to come when they're in the wilderness at Sinai and the 10 Commandments are given and they accept this role in being in covenant with God, accepting these laws. Before that, it would be understandable if people were acting more in their self-interest and focusing on the I before the we, because they were in survival mode and there's a lot that they didn't yet know. They didn't know what they didn't know. And then along comes Moses. They're liberated, they're out in the wilderness, and they get to Sinai and they accept, we will do and we will hear. And that is when we officially become united as a people. So then it becomes we before I, especially after Sinai. So I before we, except after the sea. And then after the sea, you get the we before I, especially after Sinai. And that's when we become all about mostly focusing on the group dynamic, what we are as a nation, what responsibilities, what covenant do we owe to each other being united. And in our Torah portion this week, which was, by the way, Eden's bar mitzvah portion 5 years ago, it was a great day that will live in infamy. But what we encounter is this guy Korach, for whom the Torah portion is named, and that becomes midrashically a very important thing to note. But he gathers a group of other leaders and confronts Moses, saying, how can you make yourself holy and consider yourselves above the rest of the nation? Because all of our nation are holy. Which on the surface is actually a pretty good argument, right? Who could argue with the fact that we are all equally holy and equally deserving of important roles in our community and important having our material needs met and being recognized and loved just for our inherent being of who we are? So a good argument. The problem is that it turns out that Korach wasn't really considered about the nation. He uses that as a false platform to elevate himself. And what he hopes to do is to take Aaron's position as the priest and take it for himself. So he pretended to be focused on the we of everyone, but really what it was all about was focusing on the I. And though it wasn't his fault the Torah portion was named for him, midrashically we start to see Korach's ego rise to the top because, he gets a Torah portion named for him. And he is the one who seeks to take the mantle, not to fight for somebody else to have the right for it and share it, but he wants it solely for himself. Community, our obligations to each other, placing the needs of the people around us before our own. This is essentially the lesson of Korach. This is where Korach failed, and this is where Moses and Aaron continued to succeed. The positions that they're in, they didn't ask for, but they accepted them, not because they wanted power, but because they were the ones that were recognized as the ones who could actually properly lead. So we before I, especially after Sinai. I think that's our takeaway this week. Anyhow, folks, this may be my last time doing one of these, walking Miles Road on Signal Mountain. And it's been a treasure, been a joy. And people have asked if I'm going to continue doing these videos. The answer is, in some form or fashion, yes. They will probably be on my social media pages, and you can continue to listen to, if you want to call it wisdom, great. If you want to call it just a joyful morning walk with the rabbi on Friday mornings, that's also good too. But love you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for learning with me and also teaching me along the way. Shabbat Shalom.